Wolfie asked me, he goes, when you're doing the high stuff on the guitar.
Eddie Van Halen slid into a guitar shop in Sherman Oaks, California, low-key and undercover, rocking a baseball cap and dark shades, just wanting to test drive a fresh Stratocaster without the circus around him. No spotlight, no hype, just a quiet gear check like any regular player would do. A young salesman sized up the casually dressed guy, watched him pick up a $3,000 guitar, and said with total confidence, "Sir, you're holding it wrong." Then he doubled down with, "Maybe we should start you with something from our beginner section." What happened in the next 60 seconds became straight-up store legend, the kind of story employees pass around in whispers years later. It was a Saturday afternoon in July 1991, and Eddie finally had a rare break from tour rehearsals, a small window where he could breathe and mess with gear without cameras flashing in his face. These quiet moments were gold for him, a chance to think, tweak, and just play without pressure. He wanted a simple day, no chaos, just strings and sound. He had been thinking about making a few small changes to one of his guitars and needed to feel a stock Fender Stratocaster to compare it to his custom builds. Not an Eddie Van Halen signature model, not some flashy custom job, just a regular Strat anyone could grab off the wall and buy. No special treatment, no backstage access, just a clean, straight-up bass line to measure tone and feel. So he pulled up to Guitar Galaxy in Sherman Oaks, a mid-sized neighborhood shop that catered to weekend warriors and hungry dreamers trying to make it big. This was not a celebrity playground with private lounges and fancy service. It was rows of guitars, buzzing amps, scuffed floors, and staff who spent their days helping beginners choose their first acoustic or explaining the difference between a Les Paul and an SG to confused shoppers buying birthday gifts. Eddie walked in wearing jeans, a faded black tee, a Dodgers cap pulled low, and sunglasses indoors like he did not want to be recognized. He had a bit of beard scruff going, looking more like a bar band guitarist than a global rock icon. That was the whole point. Blend in, stay chill, keep it moving. The shop had that steady weekend buzz. A couple teenagers slapping through rough bass lines in one corner, a middle-aged guy gently testing acoustics, and a few customers hovering over pedals like kids in a candy store. Nobody gave Eddie a second glance, which was exactly how he liked it. For once, he was just another dude in the room. He headed straight for the Strat rack and pulled down a Sunburst model that instantly felt right in his hands. The weight was solid, the neck smooth, the balance clean. The kind of guitar that makes you nod your head before you even plug in. He cradled it for a second, then walked toward a test amp, ready to hear what it could really do. That is when he ran into Bradley Morrison, the shop's ultra-serious gatekeeper of 6 strings. Bradley was 23 years old and 8 months into the job, but he carried himself like head of security at a vault. Clipboard energy, perfect posture, eyes always scanning the room like he was protecting crown jewels instead of guitars. Bradley had done 2 years of music school and knew his theory front to back. Intervals, modes, harmony, all that textbook knowledge locked in tight. In his mind, he was not just ringing up sales, he was guarding instruments like they were priceless artifacts. He believed every high-end guitar deserved careful, trained hands. So when he spotted this low-key guy lifting a $3,000 American Standard Stratocaster off the wall, alarms started ringing in his head. That was premium stock, not something to get scratched by someone who looked inexperienced. He moved in quickly, trying to keep it polite but firm, and said, "Sir, can I help you with something?" Eddie looked up with that calm, easy smile and replied, "Just wanted to try this one out. Nice guitar." Bradley's eyes locked onto Eddie's grip immediately, analyzing it like game footage under a microscope.
And I didn't know how to wire the stuff back up. See, this is a switch that's supposed to be there.
Bradley did not like what he saw at all. Eddie's left hand wrapped around the neck in a way that clashed with the strict classical posture drilled into him at school, and the right hand hovered at a sharp angle that completely broke his internal rule book. In Bradley's mind, this was pure chaos. No textbook form, no polished structure, just bad habits waiting to wreck a premium instrument. "Sir," Bradley said carefully, lining up every word like he was presenting a lecture, "I notice you're holding the guitar incorrectly. Your left hand position is going to make it very difficult to properly fret the notes, and your right hand technique isn't standard form." He truly believed he was helping, but he had no clue who he was schooling, and the next 60 seconds were about to flip the whole energy of the room. Eddie glanced down at his hands, then back up at Bradley with a slow, calm smirk. "This is how I've always held it." Bradley stood tall, posture stiff like a professor mid-class, and replied with full music theory 101 confidence, "Well, that might work for casual playing, but that's not proper technique." He delivered it like it was law, like there was only one right path and he owned the map. Eddie nodded slowly, almost amused. "I see. What would you recommend?" That tiny question was all Bradley needed to switch fully into instructor mode. He stepped in closer and actually adjusted Eddie's hands like he was correcting a beginner at a recital. "Left hand should be like this. Thumb behind the neck, not wrapped around. And the right hand? You gotta strike perpendicular to the strings, not at an angle." He spoke with total certainty, like he was passing down sacred knowledge carved in stone. "These are fundamentals. Without proper technique, you'll never be able to play complex pieces properly." "Complex pieces," Eddie repeated, lifting an eyebrow with that playful spark in his eyes. "Exactly," Bradley answered proudly, chest slightly puffed. Then, softening his tone but keeping that layer of authority, he added, "Look, I don't mean to discourage you, but this is a professional-level instrument. It's designed for serious players. Maybe we should start you with something more appropriate for your skill level." He pointed across the store. "We've got some excellent beginner guitars in the $300 range. Much better for learning proper technique." Eddie paused for a second, just staring at him, almost studying the confidence. "You think I need a beginner guitar?" Bradley straightened his shoulders, trying to sound balanced and respectful. "I think everyone benefits from learning fundamentals properly. That guitar you're holding, that's what professionals use. Players like Eddie Van Halen, for instance. He'd use a guitar like this, but he's spent decades mastering proper technique." Eddie had to fight the urge to laugh out loud. "Eddie Van Halen has proper technique?" he asked, flashing a wide grin that Bradley completely misread. Bradley hesitated for a split second, then nodded carefully. "Well, his technique is unorthodox," he admitted, choosing his words like they were part of an exam answer. "But he's earned the right to break the rules. You have to learn the rules first before you can break them effectively. That's what I learned in music school." "Music school, huh?" Eddie replied, voice light and teasing. "So you can play pretty well then?" Bradley's confidence swelled instantly. "I can read any piece of music you put in front of me. Classical training. I can explain exactly why certain chord progressions work. It's not about playing fast. It's about playing correctly." He said it like speed was flashy nonsense and precision was the real crown. Eddie nodded like he was honestly impressed. "That makes sense. Mind if I try this one anyway, just to feel what a professional guitar is like?" Bradley hesitated for a second. Part of him was convinced this guy had no clue what he was doing, but store policy was clear. Any customer could test a guitar as long as staff kept an eye on it. He gave a careful nod. "Okay, but please be careful with it, and let me show you the proper way to—" Bradley never got to finish that sentence. Eddie calmly plugged the Stratocaster into the nearest amp, twisted the volume knob with one smooth motion, and, no warning, no warm-up, no tuning check, ripped straight into the opening notes of Eruption. The sound blasted through the shop like a thunderclap, splitting the ceiling open. Every single person froze mid-motion. The teenagers stopped slapping bass strings. The dad, testing acoustics, cut off his cord. Even the cashier stopped mid-sentence. Heads snapped toward Eddie as those fierce electric notes sliced through the air. His fingers turned into a blur across the fretboard, moving so fast it almost did not look real. It was sharp, wild, controlled chaos all at once. He was tapping, bending, sliding, shredding, every move clean and fearless. This was the two-hand tapping style that shook the guitar world back in 1978, and now it was roaring out of a random amp in a neighborhood shop. The tone was pure fire, crisp and loud, with every note punching through like it had something to prove. Each note landed with laser precision, crystal clear even at that crazy speed. His right hand danced across the strings, doing moves that would make a rule book cry, while his left hand flew through patterns that crushed every single proper technique lesson Bradley had just preached. The entire store dropped into stunned silence except for the storm pouring out of that amp. The teenagers stood frozen, basses hanging loose by their straps. The middle-aged guy slowly lowered his acoustic, eyes wide like he had just seen magic. The pedal shoppers turned around slow, faces locked in disbelief. Even the employees behind the counter just stared, not blinking, like the world had paused for a private concert. Eddie played for maybe 60 seconds, not the full 4-minute blast of Eruption, just the explosive intro. But that short burst was more than enough. When he hit that final note and let it ring, the silence that followed felt heavy and unreal, like the air had been knocked out of the room. Bradley's face said everything. First confusion, then shock, then total panic as recognition hit him hard. His skin went pale, his jaw dropped, and his eyes locked onto Eddie like he had just seen something impossible. Eddie slowly slid off his sunglasses, revealing calm, steady eyes, and said with a small grin, "Still think I need the beginner section?" Bradley could barely get words out. "Oh my God," he whispered. "You are. You're Eddie Van Halen." Eddie gave a soft, easy smile. "And you're right about one thing," he said. "I do hold the guitar wrong, at least according to music school. But hey, it works for me." That was it. The room exploded. Customers gasped, clapped, and started shouting his name. The teenagers rushed forward, asking for autographs after witnessing history. The middle-aged guy looked like he might faint from the shock. Employees stared at each other, whispering, "Eddie Van Halen," like it still did not sound real coming out of their mouths. "Bradley," Eddie said, glancing at the name tag on his shirt, "can we talk for a minute?" Bradley could not even form words. He just nodded, face flushed, pride completely crushed. Eddie gently guided him toward a quieter corner of the store, away from the whispers, the stares, and the chaos still buzzing near the amps. "Hey," Eddie said, voice calm and steady. "You weren't wrong about what you said. Technique matters. Classical form, theory, all that stuff is important. It's good to know it." He paused, making sure Bradley was really listening. "But here's something they don't always teach in music school. There's no single right way to play guitar. What really matters is what sounds good and connects with people." Bradley shook his head, overwhelmed. "I just told Eddie Van Halen he was holding the guitar wrong," he said, half laughing, half on the edge of tears. "I tried to send you to the beginner section. I can't believe I did that. I'm so sorry." "Don't be," Eddie replied kindly. "You were trying to help. You saw someone you thought needed guidance, and you stepped up. That's solid customer service. You just didn't have the full picture yet, that's all." "I feel like such an idiot," Bradley muttered, staring at the floor. Eddie's voice got firmer, but still warm. "You're not an idiot. You're trained. You know what you were taught, and that's a strength. But let me give you something extra they might have skipped over. Technique serves the music, not the other way around. If someone plays in a way that sounds right and moves people, then that's the right technique for them, even if it looks completely wrong on paper. Bradley finally looked up, absorbing every word like it was a second lesson, but this one hit different. Suddenly, the store manager rushed over, face red and stressed. "Mr. Van Halen, I am so sorry for any inconvenience. This employee will be disciplined immediately. Please, take anything you want, free of charge. We'll make this right." Eddie raised his hand calmly, shutting that down fast. "No discipline necessary," he said smoothly. "Bradley was doing his job, and I don't need anything free. I came here to buy this Strat if it's still for sale." The manager blinked, clearly relieved. Of course it's for sale. And anything else you need, just say the word." Eddie turned back to Bradley with a small grin. "Actually, I'd like Bradley to ring me up. He started helping me, so he should finish the sale." Bradley looked stunned again, but this time it was mixed with gratitude. His hands were still shaking, his face still pale, but a small, real smile started to show. He walked Eddie to the register, carefully scanning the guitar like it was the most important item in the world. This was not just a sale, this was the sale of his life. As the receipt slowly printed out, Eddie glanced at him and said, "Can I give you a little advice?" Bradley nodded quickly, not about to interrupt this time. "Keep studying theory, keep sharpening your technique. That knowledge is powerful," Eddie said. "But when you're helping someone, listen to how they play before you tell them they're doing it wrong. Some of the greatest guitar players ever broke every rule in the book, and that's exactly why they changed the game forever." Years later, Bradley told the full story in an interview for a music education blog, and this time he could actually laugh about it. He shook his head, still amazed at how fast his world flipped that day. "Eddie Van Halen taught me the most important lesson I've ever learned about music," he said. "Rules exist to serve musicians, not the other way around. I spent 2 years in music school learning the right way to play. Eddie spent 30 seconds showing me that right is just whatever sound you're trying to make." The interviewer smiled and asked, "Were you embarrassed?" "Absolutely mortified," Bradley admitted, grinning wide. "I wanted to disappear. But Eddie was so kind about it. He could have flexed, could have made me look foolish in front of everyone. Instead, he took a minute to teach me something real. That's what mastery is. Not showing off, but lifting other people up." When they asked what happened to the guitar Eddie bought that day, Bradley's face lit up with pride. "We kept the receipt on the wall for years," he said. It literally read, "Eddie Van Halen's purchase, processed by the employee who told him he was holding the guitar wrong." He laughed again, remembering when the manager decided to frame it. "Our boss said it should hang there as a reminder not to judge too fast. Don't assume you know someone's level just by how they look." And it did not end there. Eddie came back later for another visit, and when he saw the framed receipt, he signed it in bold black ink. Right above the paper, he wrote, "To Bradley, keep breaking the rules. EVH." That signature turned a simple sales slip into a piece of rock history. When Eddie Van Halen passed away in 2020, Guitar Galaxy shared the story online along with a photo of that signed receipt. The post spread fast. Musicians, teachers, and fans across the world reshared it, adding their own tributes. People did not just talk about his speed or his solos. They talked about his character. He had every chance to embarrass someone publicly, but instead he chose to guide, inspire, and show that real greatness does not need to shout. It just plays. Months after Eddie's passing, the vibe at Guitar Galaxy shifted. The shop still had that weekend buzz, amps humming, strings ringing, beginners hunting for their first clean chord. But there was a quiet respect hanging in the air now. Customers would walk up to the framed receipt near the counter and pause. Some would lean in close, tracing Eddie's signature through the glass like it meant something deeper than ink on paper. Bradley still worked there, but he was not the same guy from that Saturday afternoon. He was calmer, more open, more grounded in himself. Anytime someone picked up a guitar in a way that looked wrong, he did not rush in anymore. Instead of correcting them, he would smile and ask, "How does it sound to you?" That one question changed everything. Sometimes a beginner would hit a strange bend or an offbeat rhythm that sounded raw but exciting. Instead of shutting it down, Bradley would lean into it. "Run that back," he'd say. "Do that again." And just like that, something new would spark. A riff that did not exist 5 minutes earlier, a vibe that no textbook could predict. Over time, Bradley became a local story himself. People started dropping by just to meet the guy who once told Eddie Van Halen how to hold a guitar. At first, he felt awkward about the attention, but eventually, he owned it. "Yeah," he would laugh, "I'm the guy who got schooled by a rock legend in under a minute." And he said it with pride, not shame. What most people never realized was how deep that moment cut, in a good way. Eddie's quiet advice did more than tweak Bradley's customer service skills. It changed his entire relationship with music. After those private lessons and conversations, Bradley started writing songs again for the first time in years. He stopped obsessing over being technically flawless and started chasing feeling instead. His new compositions mixed sharp classical phrasing with gritty blues bends and flashes of bold two-hand tapping, not copying Eddie, but honoring that fearless spirit. He finally let himself experiment, let himself mess up, let himself create without fear of breaking some invisible rule. Late one night, after locking the doors and killing the main lights, Bradley sat alone on a stool under the soft neon glow of the old guitars sign. The shop was quiet, amps silent, strings resting. He reached up and pulled down a worn Stratocaster, not Eddie's actual guitar, but one that looked close enough to bring back that memory. He plugged it in, took a slow breath, and started playing the opening notes of Eruption. He did not hit every note clean, not even close. His fingers slipped in spots and the timing was not perfect. But none of that mattered anymore. The sound coming out of that amp felt real, raw, imperfect, alive. And for the first time, he was not chasing correct. He was chasing feeling. The very next day, a nervous teenager walked into the store clutching a scuffed beginner guitar that had clearly seen better days. The kid's hands were shaking as he asked if Bradley could show him something cool. Old Bradley would have launched into posture corrections and finger placement rules. New Bradley just smiled. "Sure," he said, "but first, play me something your way." The teenager stumbled through a strange little melody, fingers landing in awkward spots, notes buzzing here and there. It was messy, but it had heart. Bradley's eyes lit up. "That's it," he said, grinning wide. "That's your sound. Don't lose it." The kid's face changed instantly, from nervous to proud in seconds. From that day forward, Bradley started teaching part-time, not stiff lessons from a workbook, real sessions built on curiosity and vibe. His classes were full of laughter, wrong notes, sudden breakthroughs, and those magic moments when a student realized they could create something original. He repeated the same line Eddie once told him, "Technique serves the music, not the other way around." And this time, he meant it from experience. Years later, when Guitar Galaxy finally shut its doors for good, Bradley made sure one thing came with him: the framed receipt. He hung it in his new teaching studio right where everyone could see it. Beneath it, carved carefully into the wall, were the words that changed his life. "Keep breaking the rules." Time kept moving, but that story never faded. The day Eddie Van Halen got told he was holding the guitar wrong became one of those legendary music world tales people never got tired of repeating. Teachers shared it with students. Musicians posted about it online. It turned into a reminder that greatness does not always look the way you expect. Bradley's small studio slowly turned into a creative hub for dreamers, Young players, older beginners, weekend rockers, all chasing their own sound. The walls filled up with photos of students holding their first guitars, snapshots of open mic nights, and even the old Guitar Galaxy sign he rescued before the store closed. Right in the center hung that framed receipt, still signed, "To Bradley, keep breaking the rules. EVH." At the start of every class, Bradley would point to it. "See that?" he'd say. "That's more than a signature. That's permission to be different." The students loved it. You could see it in their faces. They were not just learning chords anymore. They were learning confidence. Sometimes late at night, when the studio emptied out and the street noise faded, Bradley would plug in his guitar and sit alone under the dim lights. No lesson plan, no sheet music, no theory charts taped to the wall, just sound. He would close his eyes and let his fingers move however they wanted. Some notes clashed, some bent sharp, some rang out perfectly. And in those quiet moments, it almost felt like Eddie was still there in spirit, grinning and nodding at every bold, imperfect phrase. The internet even gave the story a second life. One day, a music YouTuber stumbled across the Guitar Galaxy tale and made a short video about it, complete with clips of Eddie shredding Eruption and an old photo of Bradley holding the framed receipt. Within days, the video exploded across social media, racking up millions of views. The comment section turned into a wall of memories and respect. Musicians from all over shared how Eddie's fearless style pushed them to try something different. Teachers talked about how they changed their approach after hearing the story. Fans posted stories about the first time they heard Eruption and how it shook their world. Bradley started getting invites everywhere. Podcasts, guitar forums, live streams, all asking him to retell the day he corrected Eddie Van Halen. But every time, he kept it humble. "This isn't about me embarrassing myself," he'd say with a laugh. "It's about Eddie reminding all of us what music really means, freedom." He never tried to spin it for clout. He always brought it back to that one simple lesson. He closed every interview the exact same way Eddie once closed that moment in the shop. "Play how you feel it. Forget what it looks like. If it sounds right to you, it is right. No fancy speech, no overthinking, just truth." And even now, as this story comes full circle, that message still hits hard. It's for every player grinding in their bedroom, every dreamer chasing a sound nobody else understands yet, every creator scared to break the so-called rules. The real magic happens when you stop trying to look right and start trying to feel right. If this story fired you up, make sure you hit that like button. Drop a comment and tell me your favorite Eddie Van Halen moment. Was it Eruption, a live solo, or something personal that inspired you? I want to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more unbelievable music stories that show how legends really move and how one moment can change someone's whole path. Because in every bold riff, every risky bend, every rule you decide to flip on its head, that fearless spirit still echoes loud. See you in the next video.